I've been a storyteller since I was little because I was escaping through stories. And I think I was defining myself through stories.
They are more talented and understand their skills and applying their skills better than when they got there.
God, I love that. We always know the feeling of being othered and marginalized. When you get it, you never want to give it back. Because once you feel it, you're like, this is it. Hi, I'm Jim Fielding. Welcome to Ask for an Answer. Hi, kind, curious, talented human beings. It's time for another episode of Ask for an Answer with Jim Fielding. I'm super excited about today's episode because we have a returning guest and a returning guest plus one who we talked about in the first episode. We've got the Beekman 1802 boys here, Brent and Josh. Thank you guys so much for being here. It's a Pride Month episode. You know how much I love your brand. You know how much I've got the book with all my little tabs in it. I personally find you so inspiring. And I know, Brent, from your first episode, how much the community loved our conversation. So thank you guys for making the time again. I really appreciate it.
Oh, it's a pleasure to sit down and chat with you again.
Thanks for inviting me.
Yeah. And Josh, I know you were jealous last time. So, I mean, you know.
Extremely. I'm here to set the record straight.
Yeah, everything he said. Yeah, you're gonna clean up.
Fact checking.
So let's talk about. I was preparing for this episode and thinking about your brand and the business and what you've built, and we're gonna definitely talk about Pride, but I want to talk about I was telling you guys beforehand the founder's journey, because I think that's what people really love. And Josh, I'm going to start with you because I asked a question and I love the way you answered it. As you sit here in 2026 and look at the business and what you guys have created, like, how would you rate yourself? And would you say this was the vision you had for the business? Like, it's where you think was supposed to be?
I think one of the things that's probably different about Brent and I and other sort of founders and entrepreneurs and people are, we never really had a vision. We have been very good at having ideas, like creative thoughts, and bringing them to life. But as far as like a vision of here's the success of that idea or that concept, we're like, we just want to do this thing, and then if we make it, we're where we're supposed to be. So to me, I'm like, every day is where I'm supposed to be.
Yeah. But I think you had, what I love about the book too, and your story is you had those core principles of you were going to make great product. Like, I knew that, like, it had to be quality, and you were going to do it in a way where it was very community and neighbor based. Like that was always there. And I think that's one thing that other founders, no offense against other founders, but sometimes they miss that part when they're starting a business. They're like, I'm going to make X amount of money and I'm going to do this and I'm going to grow this way in 5 years and 10 years. But they didn't start with that core of like, why are we doing this? Which you guys definitely did. I mean, for sure.
Yeah. I mean, I think always at the core of our company, and it's just because it's our kind of fundamental beliefs as people, is how can we put out as much kindness into the world? How can we bring joy to people? As we are getting ourselves out of this tight situation that we found ourselves in, how can we help lift up as many people along with us as possible? I think, originally, and we always set our goals really low, Jim. We're goal setters. And so, our original goal was, can we create a company that makes $1 million so that we can pay off the mortgage on the farm?
Yeah.
And like, when we got that point, we're like, yeah, we made it.
Yeah.
And then we're like, okay, can we grow a company that will enable us to have $5 billion in the bank? And when we got to that point, we're like, yeah, we made it.
Yeah.
And truthfully, at that point, we're like, okay, we have our needs met. Then how can we then spiral it out from beyond us to help as many people as possible?
But to what I was saying earlier, we didn't set out to say like, oh, we're going to start a beauty company. The beauty industry, independent companies then grow to 50 million and they sell at 100 million. So we're going to build and sell $100 million company.
Yeah.
We're going to make soap that people like and sell it. And then that is the business plan, not the $100 million company.
Yeah, which I again, it was so product driven and so quality product driven because, I mean, for the listeners and viewers that don't know, and you can go back and listen to the last episode, it started with a brilliant bar of soap. Like it literally started with goat milk soap that Brent shared last time you guys got the big order and you were wrapping it yourself and you brought the neighbors in to wrap. Like it literally started from that and has grown into what it is today, to where you check into certain hotels and you guys are the amenities in the bathroom. And I see Dr. Brent on TV with a goat, like a dancing goat. And you're doing like research and development. Like you're a beauty company. I mean, it was a bar soap company, brilliant bar soap, which I still love, by the way, and is still the same. I know it's produced differently and you have different people. You're not wrapping them yourselves anymore, but I just think it is so interesting that it grew organically, but it grew out of kindness. It grew out of intention. It grew out of quality. I mean, it grew out of service, like all of those things that I personally love. And I think, unfortunately, in our world, a lot of that gets lost because it starts to be about the money, and it starts to be about investors, and it starts to be about return on investment and all of these financial terms. And people kind of lose the core of why they started. Do you guys ever disagree about the direction of the company? I wondered about that.
Ever. I mean, not in the last 10 minutes, maybe, but
well, so take us through. I mean, you don't have to divulge everything, but like, what would be a disagreement about the business that you guys, Brent would have one point of view and Josh would have another point of view?
I think probably the biggest one that ever happened in the history of the company was, we started out with the bar of soap, and, because I had come from Martha Stewart,
right.
We were really originally thinking, how can we make this into a lifestyle brand?
Right.
And so we said, okay, we're going to have multiple different verticals. So we would have the beauty vertical, we would have the gardening vertical,
Yes.
we would have the decor vertical, we would have the gourmet food vertical. And, the consumer over the course of the first several years, even though each vertical was growing on its own and we were having successful deals at Target and Bloomingdale's and different verticals, the consumer told us, no, what the beauty products are doing from our skin is what we love the most. Now, but just because of my scientific background and my interest in aging and, of course, I was always the most interested in that portion of the company. And Josh, because his interests are in cooking and gardening and things like that, his interests were always the other verticals. And so we got to that point where the consumer was telling us this is the direction the company should go. We had to really have a conversation between ourselves. Okay, are we going to go all in on the direction the consumers are leading, or are we going to continue to funnel some of our resources into these other aspects that maybe are more of a passion project and maybe not to contribute to the top or bottom line?
Well, you're 100% wrong on that. No, I mean, that is the perfect example of you listen to what's happening, what the world is telling you, and you do it. We had an amazing opportunity with TV retail to go sell beauty products. So what are you going to do? Say no? We're
good.
Busy.
Yeah, we're good. We're good. Yeah, thanks.
So that's what the universe was telling us. So we went ahead and did it. Did you talk about the 51% rule in the last one?
I think
in the last podcast, because that's
no. Tell us. Yeah, that's a good. Let's revisit that because we did, but revisit. Yeah. You tell it, Josh, from your perspective.
And you know what's the thing? I think a lot of LGBT. I think there are probably more LGBT couple founders than straight couple founders. I think for whatever reason we become partners in many different areas. But that led to problems. So we did have these disagreements, really vehement disagreements for many years, until we sort of discovered this, what we call the 51% rule, because all of the advice for partners was divide your decision by skill sets. So if somebody is better at money, they handle the money stuff. Somebody's better at creative, they handle the creative stuff. But the truth is, if you're good partners, you're both pretty good at the same things. That's why you're partners.
Right.
So what we developed was this 51% rule where we divide it by passion. So whoever is more passionate about something, whoever, and that doesn't let the other one off. It's not 99, 51%. So if there's more disagreeing on, we sort of, now we just do it by instinct. Whoever has the most passion for that has to fight for it. Whoever has the 49 less passion still has to fight for it, because they have to sharpen that decision. They have to make that
make the case. Yeah,
exactly, and build your "I told you so"s.
Totally. But I think your point about the LGBTQ-ness of it is, it's Pride season, so I can say it, and I'm also a proud member of the community. I do think like attracts like a lot in our community, and we are, I'm going to say it, we're more creative overall. I've met so many I've met amazing creatives of all walks of life through this journey of mine. However, some of the most amazing brands, some of the most amazing experiences, like hotel experiences or Airbnbs or, bread and breakfast, were gay couple owned, lesbian and gay. And so I do think that rule, that 51% rule, is important because, if you have two very smart, creative, passionate people, there's tension inherently built into that, because you're not going to see it exactly the same way. And in heterosexual couples, one tends to be a little bit more passive or more submissive, but we're not like that. I think of how I am with my husband, right? And even deciding like vacations sometimes could be an interesting discussion, right? Because the definition of a vacation is, you want to go on an adventure hike and be doing something every day, and I want to lay at the spa and have someone spray Evian on me, right? Like we even disagree about that, like what my definition of vacation is versus his sometimes, right?
Well, so that's true.
Yeah.
And heteronormative couples have the luxury and the burden of centuries of prescribed roles.
Yes.
So they can lean into those roles when it's helpful. No, LGBT couples don't, which is a luxury and a burden.
It is. We kind of make it up. Yeah, we make it up as we go along.
I actually would be so curious now that you've
I know. I'm thinking,
because we see gay relationships generally are more stable than heterosexual relationships, and I wonder if the same would apply in gay couples who have founded businesses together. Are they more successful or more stable than?
I know. I almost feel like we need to be calling like Harvard Business School and saying, let's do a case study, because I'm sitting here wondering too. And again, I'm way stereotyping and I'll get in trouble in the comments, but also a lot of times gay couples don't have children. So we're able to focus, like once children come into the mix, that changes the dynamic of a family. And I'm not saying, I'm sure the numbers are, heteronormative couples tend to have more children than we have. So I think, the concept of dual career couples, right? We're like the original dinks, dual income, no kids, right? And I do think, again, there's so many, I'm not saying that the gay community is one way, but we travel more, we tend to, the arts, music, all of that kind of stuff. We really are, I don't know. I think we're just exposed maybe more.
Well, I want to go back to something you brought up in the beginning of this part of the conversation. You've met so many creative LGBT business owners, and Brent and I, we've done a lot of Pride talks about creativity and why is it? Yes, it's a stereotype. Yes, there are more gay people in creative professions, but why is that? And we put a lot of thought into that, and we came to the definition that creativity is really problem solving. It's having an obstacle in front of you, a wall in front of you, in figuring out a way to get to that wall. And that's what we have done.
That's so brilliant.
Since we were children, we had this wall that we couldn't, a huge part of ourselves that we couldn't show the world. So we had to find all these ways to pretend that that wall wasn't there.
We developed that muscle in a way that other people don't have to develop that muscle.
And I think that's what made us, that's
God,
creativity.
that's going to make me cry. Like, but you know what? I also think too, I love where you guys are going on that, and that you've spoken on this, because I also think, you know, listen, speaking for myself as a little gay kid growing up in Toledo, Ohio, thinking he was the only one in the entire city, our imaginations are really vivid, right? Like I created these worlds and I created friends, and Brent, you and I talked about this last time. I read a lot, right? I read a lot of historical novels and fantasy novels and stuff, because I was like, my world is not in Toledo, Ohio. Like I knew intuitively I was miscast as Toledo, Ohio Jim, like, and that my horizons were somewhere else, but I had to make that world up in my head, right? And I think that, because I think the other thing that we are besides creative is we're storytellers. Brent and I talked about that last time. I mean, when I look at my career, when I look at your guys' careers, you know, Martha and all that, Brent, like you and I worked for storytellers, and I always chose jobs. I wanted to work for brands or companies that had authentic stories to tell. Like I didn't want to make up the story, right? So even when I was at Claire's was the ear piercing headquarters for 80% of young girls in the United States, really around the world. That's an authentic story. Like I could put my hands in that and be like, yeah, I could work at Claire's because there's a story here, right? It's not just we're selling value price jewelry and accessories. There's actually a story about why Claire's exists. Same thing with Disney, same thing with Martha Stewart. And I think, but I've been a storyteller since I was little because I was escaping through stories, you know, and I think I was defining myself through stories, right? And so, and it's so funny because people come into your house and they're like, oh, you have such a good sense of color, or I love your art. I'm like, uh-huh. You know what I mean? Like, it's like, have you been to their house? Go look at their house, right? But I love that. I love that about, but I do think that study is super interesting just from a pure entrepreneurial standpoint, because I'm sitting here thinking of heteronormative couples that I've known and people that you guys know who have started companies that ended up divorced, right? Like, I mean, I'm not going to say names on the podcast, but there's literally 3 couples in my head who started amazing companies and straight couples and got divorced, like couldn't make it. And I know you guys know who I'm thinking of because they're New York based fashion apparel companies, right? Like, and couldn't make it. Right. Like it hurt the relationship. Like it, and I'm sure there was tons of other reasons too, but, and you actually, I've watched sustainable businesses, publicly traded businesses that crumble because the founders, married founders, could not agree, could not choose. That's super interesting. Okay, Harvard, if you're listening, any business school, Emory in Atlanta. I think it's an interesting topic, actually.
Yeah, what is the difference between LGBT couple founders and heteronormative couple founders? I that would be an amazing study.
Well, even just the analysis to see
I just want to see the data. That's what I'm saying. Like somebody data mining and just picking X number, 50 companies founded one way, 50 companies founded the other. Like I'm really into this. Okay, we might have uncovered something.
Part of it too is like, I think there is a mentality, at least for us, and I'm assuming that we're applicable to other gay couples. There is an us against the world mentality, which 100%. I don't think that a lot of heterosexual couples necessarily have. Some do, but I think they maybe are more individualistic. Like they might be in the world, but a lot of them don't come into the relationship thinking that now it's us against the world.
Well, Brent, you're so smart. I mean, I'm going to get org speak here, but it's like the systems aren't built for us. Like, so I moved through corporate, you guys moved through corporate in systems that were 1000% not built for us. And I'm not saying we deserve gold stars or we were like these huge barrier busters. We had to learn to navigate in a world and in a system that was not built for us. And I think other people, even if they're the strongest allies we have in the community, and they've been friends with us forever, they may even have gay siblings, they still don't understand what that feels like. Like always know the feeling of being othered and marginalized.
I love that. You know what? And I think you're both onto something. I think that's also to the outside world, to the bankers, the investors, the client funders. We're a puzzle. Like gay couple founders are a puzzle. I think with heteronormative couples, you say us against the world. I think it's easier if you're a straight married founding couple for the outside world to, you know, a male banker is going to go to the male in that couple and be like, oh, okay, I'm going to deal with you, or the HR lead go to the woman,
or like the female lawyer, right? The female rights lawyer, right?
It's easier for outsiders to find a division in those couples, where gay couples, we're still kind of a puzzle. You know that people look at us and be like, okay, do I go to Brent or Josh on this one? You know?
No, for sure. For sure. Okay, so as we sit here in 2026, how many employees do you guys have now? I was thinking about that this morning.
We're around 80 employees at the moment.
And is that the highest it's ever been?
No, we've been as high as 120.
Wow.
Yeah, we at one point were doing all of our own fulfillment.
That's right.
We have a lot of warehouse workers.
We have a warehouse, and it's the beauty business is weird. So, you know, in Ulta stores, you have field teams that go out and service the stores, and you can either freelance them or employ them, or generally do a little bit of both.
Yeah.
So it fluctuates, but about 80 people right now.
Wow, that's amazing. That's amazing. And do you find it easy or hard to find talent these days? Like when you have a job, do you attract great talent and so you have your choice, or is it hard?
You know what? It's because people now at this point know Beekman is about kindness. We do, people self-select before they apply. So we have
I love that.
A big database of people who have expressed interest. That being said, sometimes there's something very specific that we're looking for. So then you have to go out and you're competing against something with a very specific knowledge about a digital thing or whatnot. But for like most of the jobs in the company, we have a big database of people who want to work at Beekman.
That's nice. That's nice.
I mean, you know, from Disney, same thing happens at Disney.
Oh yeah,
like,
no. People want to work there, right?
Yeah.
Like you definitely. I always felt that. Yeah, Disney, we were blessed because if we opened a job, we would be overwhelmed by the number of applications. But you and I talked about this last time, Brent. I always had to be careful. Like I was a really good screener and I taught my people to be a good screener, because just because you love Disney or you grew up in the movies does not mean you're going to be a great Disney employee, right? I mean, and if I would ask people and people would be honest and they'd say, well, I want to work at Disney because my favorite characters are at Disney, or I want to work at Disney because I want the discount to go to the park. Like literally that would be an answer. And I'm like, that's a red flag, right? I mean, it's no, I want to work at Disney because I want to be part of creating the magic, or I want to work hard because I believe in storytelling, or I believe in experiential retail. I literally, and I wasn't, as I got higher in my career, I was interviewing more at the end where they'd been through some other, I was more like the final interview in many cases, but we did spend a lot of time on those early interviews to kind of weed out. I love Disney fans. Just because you're a Disney fan does not mean you're a great Disney cast member. And I'm sure you guys have the same thing at Beekman. Like they might love your product and use your product, and that's great. They're like a brand ambassador, but it doesn't necessarily mean they're going to be a great employee. So that's
right. And, a lot of times people have a misconception of what kindness is. And so, when anyone comes into the company, we make sure that they are aware about what our definition of kindness is.
So critical.
So critical. We see kindness, like the ultimate act of kindness is transparency. And so, when people come in, we say, listen, we're going to evaluate you. We're going to make sure that you're contributing to the company. Yes, the mission of the company is to spread kindness. And if we're not successful monetarily, we're also not going to be able to spread kindness. So you are have metrics that we're going to be measuring against, but we're going to be honest with you on whether you're hitting those metrics. And if you don't hit those metrics, it doesn't mean that you are not a good person or
not valuable,
or even smart or intelligent or talented. It just means that you at this time might not be the right person that Beekman needs. And so it's going to be to both of our benefits for us to part our ways. We're still going to be supportive of your career. We want you to find that thing where you are contributing, but what we do make sure is that every employee who passes through Beekman is better for having passed through Beekman, and that they are more talented and understand their skills and applying their skills better than when they got there.
God, I love that. And I also think the way that you treat people in the interview process, because I used to say this all the time too, you wanted to treat them kindly in the interview process. Not everybody's going to get hired, but you don't want them speaking ill of your company. Like, oh my God, I interviewed with them and they were such assholes. I also think, we talked about this a little bit last time, Brent, which I love about your definition of kindness. And again, read the book because it's unbelievable in this. I often write a lot in my writings about the difference between being kind and being nice, because people totally misconstrue that, right? Because everybody will say, oh, Jim, you're so nice, you're so nice. And I'm like, no, I want you to say I'm kind, right? I want you to say, because I am still going to be direct and I'm still going to have standards and I'm going to have to say no sometimes. And I mean, working at Disney, working at DreamWorks, we did layoffs, right? That was part of corporate America, right? But I wanted to handle them kindly, but a nice, I like being nice too, but there is such a radical difference between kind and nice.
Absolutely.
I mean, and I write about it a lot in my articles and in LinkedIn, just because I'm keep hitting it again between, kind and nice, because people do misconstrue. Okay.
I can't remember if I read this in one of your posts or was someone else I was reading, but I thought this was one of the most brilliant things I've ever read to make the distinction.
Oh, it had to be mine then. It must have been my post.
Because we talk so much these days because of social media and whatnot that everything is so performative.
Yes.
Someone said that nice is the performance of being kind. And I think that was the perfect way to say it in our modern world. Being kind is hard work. And you're putting yourself out there in ways that people don't expect you to sometimes. And being nice is just a performance of being kind without the actual word of it.
Yeah.
I would go a step further in saying being kind has an immediate cost you have to pay. Nice is a deferred payment plan.
It is. I love that. That's brilliant. That's a t-shirt. That's a t-shirt.
Because it's easy to be nice. You can ignore, problems, and brush them over, but eventually you're going to pay for that niceness.
You are.
Whereas kindness, even giving somebody a compliment, which seems like, oh, there's no cost in that, but that takes a moment of your own, you have to be humble and present enough to say oh, hey, you look great today.
And you have to be, the thing about kindness is you have to that point, you have to be not embarrassed to give the kindness. That's what I mean. Yeah. And I think, there's been lots of studies on kindness, and, the one thing that prevents people from being more kind is that they feel that they're going to be judged or they're going to be embarrassed. Their kindness is going to be rejected. And sometimes it will be, but that's, again, part of the hard part of kindness.
Well, and I think, I love this discussion because you used the word earlier, Brent. I said at the same time, kindness is transparency and clarity and directness, right? Where nice can be a little bit more patronizing and almost pat you on the head. Oh, you look nice today, right? And in a weird way, Josh, you kind of even said it. I mean, nice is easier. It is. I think nice is easier, but you end up being that people pleaser and a little bit passive.
Well, that interest builds up on the payment.
It does. It'll kick you. It'll kick you. Okay. I have so many lines of question, but I have to stop for a minute and fanboy because I want to ask Josh about The Amazing Race. I talked to Brent about it last time, but I want to hear it because everybody knows I'm an Amazing Race fan. I'm not going to win a trivia contest, but your season, I was so invested in, probably because I was your fans already. And I was excited about the representation. I was excited about a highly functioning, quote, successful gay couple putting themselves out there. But Brent talked about it last time. But Josh, what did that experience mean to you? I mean, obviously they won, by the way, but what did it mean to you?
Well, it was horrible. It was the hardest thing I've ever done in my life. And if we had not won, I would still be bitching about it. It was everything that I am not prepared for in life. I'm a planner. I need to know where I'm going to bed at night. I need to know.
Yes.
I have to have all my. So that part of it was absolutely horrible for me.
Yeah.
That said, it was the biggest thing that we have ever done. We've traveled a lot. We go all around the world and everything. But those opportunities to travel like that and go to places, those very remote places, where that was astounding. So we loved it. Of course, winning was amazing. But I think one of the things, and I'm exploring this for another project right now, on The Amazing Race, that helped us was our age. And we were that middle-aged Gen X couple. And I've realized that somehow this gene of self-belief skipped over Gen Xers. Baby boomers have this powerful sense of self-worth. Millennials invented participation trophies.
Yeah.
We don't believe in ourselves.
We live with doubt. Totally.
100%. Anything is upside to us. Every time, some podcast person tells me to believe in myself, I'm like, why should I believe in you?
Yeah,
totally. Believe in myself. Why should I believe you? So, but what that did for Brent and I was one of the most annoying things was that we saw when we watched old episodes before racing and during the race, where the other couple's like, woo, woo, you got this, baby, you can do this, woo, woo. And our promise to ourselves was like, no wooing. It's none of that.
I don't need a cheering squad.
You can do your best, and if you do your best, you will either accomplish it or not. And that's true. So for us, it was sort of that we didn't have too much belief in ourselves. We didn't have little belief in ourselves. We were just like, we just did what we could.
But you know what? I have so many questions, but watching you, because Brent and I talked about this before too. One of my favorite phrases is, I like confidence. I abhor arrogance. Right.
Yes.
And I think even though our generation does have a lot of doubt, but we have a great work ethic too, by the way, which you're talking about.
Yes.
And when we commit to something, we're going to figure it out. We're solution providers, but we're not arrogant about it. Right. I think that a lot of the times when you watch all of these competition shows, but particularly Amazing Race, the arrogant ones usually end up, maybe they're in the top 2 or 3, but they end up not winning because they are so arrogant. And you're like, you know what? Rolling that tub down the hill backwards is not as easy as you think it is.
Yeah.
I mean, and you guys throughout the whole thing, whose idea was it to go on the show? I think I forgot to ask that. Was it? Oh,
no, it wasn't my idea. But the way that came about was that we had written a cookbook. It was our first cookbook. And we were at the Santa Monica Library doing a cookbook signing. And at the very end of this line was this older woman. She was probably in her mid or late 70s at the time. And she had her oxygen tank that she was pulling with her, like very unassuming. And we were just chatting. And she said, oh, every week my next door neighbor comes over and we watch your show, The Fabulous Beekman Boys, together. And, it's our bonding time. And I'm like, oh, that's so nice. I was just thinking these two little, older ladies watching the show, and it's a sweet image. And then she just happened to throw in, and she's the president of CBS Reality TV. And so by that point, this was like the first season of Fabulous Beekman Boys had already aired. So we already understood kind of the odd dynamic of reality TV and reality fandom. So I'm like, oh, she's maybe not quite there. And so I just very flippantly, I said, oh, well, if she's such a big fan, why aren't we on The Amazing Race? And she said, I'm going to tell her. And honestly, Jim, we thought nothing of it. I just thought this was a fan moment and
Yeah.
And we got back to the farm, and about a week later, the phone rang. I picked it up, and it was someone from CBS. And they said, hey, we heard you might be interested in running The Amazing Race. And
I was like, what have you gotten us into this time? Right.
And then we had to go into the whole slipstream of we had to audition and do all that. But that's how we got the introduction.
And how did you prepare? Did you work out? And was there?
We
I mean,
did.
it's physical. Anybody who hasn't watched it, it's
we
physical.
were on the farm. Like we grow and raise all of our own food on the farm, so we're active and physical farm.
But it was really, again, LGBT couple.
Yeah.
It was like, okay, we're going to
strategize.
We're going to watch all the old seasons.
Yes.
We can see what are the winning behaviors and what are the losing behaviors. And, one of the things, as you pointed out yourself, arrogance, people that came out strong never finished. And so, and the people that were fighting constantly never finished. And we know we have a propensity to fight. You
have to control it.
But in that compressed timeline and that compressed, we're like, we can't afford that. So we said we aren't going to fight. We aren't going to cheerlead each other because that annoy us.
Well, that was part of the decision making because we knew we were never going to be the most physical. Like we knew they were going to cast people who were athletes.
Yeah, who were like,
That was the key thing we learned. We knew in reality, American reality TV, the middle-aged gay couple never wins.
Yeah.
Your role as a middle-aged gay couple is to make it about halfway through, throw in a bunch of campy one-liners, and then gracefully exit. So
and be everybody's friend, like we're everybody's best friend, right?
And say how proud they are of you.
We love Brent and Josh.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
But get out of the way, so some more all-American archetype.
In our strategy, knowing that was okay. The reason people get kicked out was because they're not communicating. They start arguing. And we said that is something that we can control and excel at. So to your question about whether we worked out and things like that, I mean, we were physical in general, but that's really what we worked on. And when Josh said, we sat down and thought, okay, if I'm in a situation where I'm in a challenge, it's not going well, I'm just getting, frustrated. What do you want me to do?
Like your safe word. Yeah.
Yeah. So we said, do not, like I told Josh, if I am getting frustrated at something, I do not want you on the sideline saying, you can do this. I want to be in my head. And I want to be able to figure it out.
Yeah.
And it's
funny watching that season. I can remember, and they probably did in the edits, but there was times where Josh just kind of walked away. Like when and you both did it for each other, because I remember challenges where you both struggled, but you didn't. You're right. You weren't on each other like, you can figure it out. We're in fifth place. Like,
it's better. It's better for us to challenge each other. If I was struggling with as a kid, my parents didn't come and be like, come on, Josh, you can do it. They came and said, come on, use your brain, and that was like, okay, yes, you're right. Use my brain. So that's how we.
Okay, it's so brilliant. Well, the entire community was so proud of you and what that represented. And did you get any money from Hacks? Because this episode of Hacks,
I know, right?
I'm a Hacks fan, but I'm literally watching it and I'm like, she's milking a goat and she can't. They're screaming at each other, right?
Yeah.
Like,
and then the very next scene was at QVC.
Yeah. So if you haven't watched that episode, they were milking goats. They were on The Amazing Race, and then they were at QVC, which is exactly our life. We have not felt like we were looking into a mirror since watching Schitt's Creek.
Like, I know, I've literally, I can imagine you watching it. Like, I feel so seen because it's like, and I literally, but again, they weren't as prepared as you. Like, they didn't have their ground rules, right? And poor little DJ was so enthusiastic. And it's just, that show is so brilliant. But the last couple of episodes have been so amazing. The Montecito episode, I just like died over. But the one I was like, my God, this is like the Beekman boys. They're like, she's trying to milk a goat. The goat's kicking her over. That is so funny. You got like sponsorship without paying for sponsorship. Like,
right.
I mean,
right. It's funny because when we saw the episode, I emailed Elise and Phil and one of the producers, Matt Schmidt, and I said, you know what? It's so amazing that this show has been on for however many 30 seasons. I don't know.
It's crazy.
Still can be a pop culture reference. Like, that's incredible.
It's incredible. No, you're part of, I mean, there's so many things you guys have done in your life that are going to be like legacy and, remembered for. But I mean, you are that franchise, because it's a franchise. I mean, it's unbelievable. Okay. So I love that. Oh, that was my fanboy moment. Is there if I came and spent like a week with you guys, is there like a typical Brent and Josh week, or is each week different because of like the QV, the schedule and the like, is there a Monday through Friday routine that you guys are in or not?
There's not.
Mhm.
Here's what you would find.
Mhm.
You would every day you would find cocktail o'clock and dinner.
Love it.
And that is
And
our
like a cooked dinner, like yes.
we,
And do you
we,
take turns cooking?
No.
Josh cooks and I
Right.
do the cleaning.
yeah. But we one thing we've learned as a couple is to mark the end of the day.
Yeah.
And call it.
Especially as a couple that works together.
Yeah.
Where we're together 24/7.
Yeah.
Having that 4 o'clock is our cocktail o'clock.
I mean, every
Unless
day
there's
is
a
different. If
meeting,
there's something,
like-
if we're at QVC or
Yes,
something.
Right.
But regardless, remember those old cartoons with the the whistle? that
Yeah.
would
Yeah.
blow? Like in our heads, we do that every day because otherwise, and we did this in the early part of our entrepreneurial.
You only
career.
talk about business all the time.
You go 24/7, but now cocktail o'clock.
Yeah. So it's like that little whistle goes off and then you're just a couple. You're not business not just a couple, but you know what I'm saying? You're not business partners. You're not talking about the QVC shoot the next day. You're just being what you are. How long have you guys been together now?
27 years. Well, 26.
Wow. And the company is how old now?
About almost 20.
Yeah, in 2008 we started.
Yeah. It's
18
crazy.
years.
It's crazy. Yeah, it's
Yeah,
amazing.
the thing, and I was thinking about this recently too. We were 7 or 8 years into our relationship when we started a business, which is that's the hardest years of a relationship.
No, those are the 7-year itch time.
Yeah.
Like it's not.
And
Yeah.
I will freely say we had awful, horrible fights in those early days, as any business owner would, and any 7-year-old couple would.
Mhm.
And I believe this to this day. If we didn't have the company, we probably would have split up. Just out of
You stayed together. It's like staying together for the kids.
It really was.
Yeah.
We couldn't. We had a business that was just about us and our life and our farm, and so we couldn't split up.
But it was again
Obviously, I'm glad we didn't. But a lot of couples at that time frame, for expedience sake, go their separate ways.
But again, I think that's what makes gay couples unique, is like going back to that us against the world.
Yeah.
Because that situation, we're like, okay, no, it's us against the world, and that.
So you're just reinforcing that us until it more firmly takes hold.
Is there anything as you look back over the years? Because I think I know you both well enough. You don't live with regrets, but is there anything you would have done differently? Like you mentioned the series, Josh. I mean, the Fabulous Beekman Boy, which again I loved. Were you happy doing that? I mean, letting people into your life like that, it was invasive to a certain extent. I mean, would you do it again?
We would do it again back then. I don't know if we would do it again now,
Right.
knowing what we know about reality TV and the way reality TV has kind of progressed. But I think
you were
OG.
You were OG in
We were
reality
OG,
too.
perfect.
I mean,
I think that we have always been people who just take life as it comes, and we're like, oh, this is the reality of what is in front of us, or this is the opportunity that's in front of us.
Let's shape it best.
Yeah.
For what we.
for that moment. So if anybody's listening and says, I want to do a new series with them, let's just say that. I won't even say reality. Like if somebody said, you're on TV because of selling, but if somebody said, I want you to be on TV again in a more regular way, would you do it? Would you come up with an idea, or is that past?
We wouldn't come up with an idea because we're not motivated to come up with the idea. But if someone said, I have this amazing idea that you guys could communicate this, then we would be like, oh, really? That's interesting.
I'm watching the wheels in Josh's head.
No, Jim, we love to be part of other people's success story.
Yeah.
And we are encouragers. And so if someone came to us and said, you know what, this is my idea and it is amazing, and you guys, and we're like, we can help them realize their dream, and we would probably consider it. But other than that, no.
Okay. I'm going to email you with some ideas. I'm not going to share them here. No, I literally, every time I talk to you, Brent, I think, I told you last time, I thought about like our little speaking tour, like, you know, I'll just say it out loud because I'm going to manifest it in my Oprah way. But like, I almost feel like what you're talking about, like, and again, I have a little bit of that media background, but it's almost like a gay Shark Tank is what I'm thinking, right? Like, you know, like that. Like, I think our take, everything we've been talking about, like if the panel, nothing against the panel of judges of Shark Tank. I know it's a huge franchise, Barbara Corcoran and all them, I know. But I do wonder what that would be like, you know, like for LGBTQ entrepreneurs, right? Like to have a filter, because again, the systems aren't built for us. Raising money, we know this. Raising money as female, raising money as female lesbian, harder than raising money, you know, as a heteronormative straight white man. I'm just sitting here thinking, like, it could be fun. I think it'd be fun. I also think, you know, there's like, you guys are green acres. Anybody that's my age knows you guys are green acres, but you know, it's like the gay version of Green Acres is basically what you guys, what you guys did.
Green Acres was pretty gay to start with. So.
It was. We know, again, one of my escapes in Toledo, Ohio, also like Paul Lynde on Bewitched. Like I found all the people that I was like, I think they might be that word. They might be that word.
I did just think of a regret.
And
it was thinking about the Fabulous Beekman Boys, because when we were trying to come up with the title of that show, we wanted something that kind of maybe referenced something else, right? And also could kind of roll off the tongue and kind of allude to the fact, oh, this might be a gay show. And so we...
Are you going to put me on my soapbox?
No, yes. So the...
I'm ready.
The reference point was the Fabulous Baker
Boys, totally.
And so then we became the Fabulous Beekman Boys, which in retrospect, it was so catchy that it has stayed with us. I
still call you the Beekman Boys.
Yes, the Beekman Boys.
People, yes.
And it's to Josh's ire. He hates it.
Is it offensive? Yeah. That's what I say. It's probably...
It's not offensive. Yeah. It's not offensive. And, you know, it's like any... It's like any word for a minority group. Boys you know, it's like depending on the intent of it. But what I found is that it can be used as a weapon against gay men.
Totally.
Especially like in business environments. You know, we lead a $100 million plus company. Yeah. And people will still say, what do the boys think? What do the boys?
I get it.
And it's this weird level of
yeah, it's a diminutive. It minimizes.
Exactly. Yeah, I get it's something that's followed us throughout, and I don't think it's a regret.
Right, I'm not saying it anymore.
Well, no. It's one of those. It's very familial for people to say, but I would like it to go through a thought process of like where girls. You wouldn't walk into a room full of women in a corporate environment anymore and say, "Hey, girls, let's do this."
By the way, we were taught in corporate not to use that term. That was a demeaning term.
Right. So I know that calling us boys, people do not mean that, but the effect of other people hearing it can be that.
I'm just going to call you Brent and Josh. It's easier. But Beekman men doesn't go as easy. That's part of the problem.
Right.
But through all of history, you know, gay men, you know, I remember growing up in my church in Wisconsin, and there was an obviously long-term older gay couple, and everybody called them the boys and called them the boys. Yeah. And it was friendly, and everybody loved them, but it was also a way of saying, you know what, they don't have sex.
Yeah. It's keeping them in our place, right?
Yeah, I mean, they're less than us grown-up married couples.
1,000%. No, I actually think that's really interesting. All right, well, when I email you with my TV pitches, I'll come up with new.
Let's see. Now I feel like I've made you self.
No, but it's actually a really important because it's so funny because I'm working on an essay, and you know, my dad's name was Jim, and I'm Jim professionally, but in the world, in my family, I'm Jimmy because my dad was Jim, and that's Big Jim and Little Jim. And it's really interesting because I just literally wrote about this, that I'm my dad and I are both Jim Fielding, but we have different middle names because in my mom's weird mind, that meant I had my own identity, which is complete bullshit in Toledo, Ohio, because no one knows your middle name, right? And so she would call me JD because I'm James David. That was her way of making me different than dad. But in the world, it was Big Jim and Little Jim for a long time until I was the same size as him. That didn't work anymore. And then it became like Young Jim and Old Jim, which he hated because he was Old Jim, right? And so I was literally, it was just Jimmy. He called me Jimmy. My sister called me Jimmy. My nieces call me Jimmy. And it's a term of endearment, but it meant little. It meant smaller. It meant less. It meant second. And so it's so funny from a branding standpoint, when I wrote the book, the publisher was like, do you want to be James Fielding? I'm like, no, I don't know who James Fielding is. Like, I've never been James in all of this, right? I've been everything else. And I said, if you put James Fielding on the book, and I'm James Fielding on LinkedIn because of like the government name, but nobody will know who it is because I'm Jim Fielding. But it was funny, in the business world, I was Jim Fielding, and that was my dad's name. But because my dad was a fireman and policeman, our worlds never crossed. So like I went out as Jim Fielding into the business world and was able to be my own identity. But the boys is the same thing because I mean, Jimmy's fine when you're 7. When you're 47, it's not such a great name, right?
I think that's a valuable thing for anyone to think of is are you diminishing yourself? And if your name is Susan and you
Susie.
want everyone to call you Susie, you may be getting benefits from that in your life, and people think that you're a nice person. And but what are the costs of that?
No, I do. Well, our name is it's a brand. It's like our first brand. Like and we didn't get to pick it, right? Like they picked it. I have a niece who's Catherine that we call Katie, but as she gets older, she wants to be called Kate. Same thing, right? She doesn't want to be Catherine, but she wants to be Kate. It is interesting.
I think it's a great topic for people to think about is how are you diminishing yourself in your life and why? What is the purpose of it?
Well, and I think, again, this goes back to our community. There's been many times in our life where we've been forced to be small or to go into literally the closet or
because you're not threatening.
Right. And it's funny because a lot of our conversation today, I've been thinking, because another thing I wrote a lot about is I feel like part of my mission in life right now is about creating safe spaces, psychologically and physically safe spaces. Part of the challenge in our community right now is a huge portion of our community feels less safe than they felt 18 months ago, 3 years ago, 5 years ago. I feel it myself. Josh, Brent, and I talked about this last time. Moving after 25 years in California to the South, to Atlanta, I had to I had to turn my gaydar back on. I had to put my protective barriers up because I moved through California. Listen, I lived in San Francisco, Los Angeles, and Laguna Beach. I was kind of in like gay meccas, right? So I was safe for the most part. But even though Atlanta is an incredible city and I love it, I had to be more aware again because not everybody is welcoming and not everybody it's not safe. And it was weird to be in my middle 50s and have to kind of turn that on again. And my husband is Black. So not only are we gay, we're an interracial couple in the South, right? So it is interesting. And so that's my whole thing now is, when people say, what are you working on? And, what are you passionate about? I keep talking about these safe spaces. And it's a lot of the work that I'm doing when I get to speak to companies, when I get to do speeches and stuff. I'm talking a lot about safe spaces because, again, I think people who did not grow up in a marginalized community don't understand that concept. Like I literally have to, it's kind of like Kind and Nice again. They're like, what do you mean you're not safe? I'm like, you don't know what it feels like. Like that is and I've been telling people lately, I said, remember the first day of high school when you walked into the cafeteria at lunch and you didn't know where to sit? Remember that feeling of like, there was the cool kids table and the jocks and the freaks and the brainiacs and the nerds, and you didn't know where you fit in. I said, that's like our life. That's like every day of our life because we're moving through a society or we're moving through a city or we're moving through structures that weren't built for us. Like,
right. And you don't, when you walk through a door, you don't know what's going to be on this other door. You don't know what's going to meet you. Yeah.
And but the blessing at the same time, you know, as you said, you've lived in areas where you don't have to feel that way in life, and now you've moved back to an area where you can live life. And Brent and I spend part of the year in Florida now. Legally, you have to at a certain age.
Especially gay.
Yeah, but and to your point, you and your husband just going out to dinner is making an incredible statement in that area. Brent and I was joking, you know, Brent's birthday was last week, and I was in the Publix buying a birthday card in the Hallmark husband section, and I was like, everyone is watching me do this, you know, like everyone. And those are like these. Because we've had the privilege of being in areas where we were safe, now we can go back out into the world and do these tiny little things. You know, we have a repairman come to the door and say, my husband's out back, I'm going to take. Those tiny little things are so much more powerful now.
I love that you said that, Joe. Joe and I were just talking about that, because it's like literally when like the termite guy comes, right? The pest guy comes, right? Like we're exposing them, and I'm literally like, no, that's not my job, but my husband, he deals with that. Yeah. Like, I don't know where the mosquito buckets are. Okay. Yeah. Right. Like that's his thing. Right. Like I'm about the beauty. Like you asked me about the plants. If you're coming with a plant, I'll tell you where the plant goes. But no, but I do think that. And I wrote in the book, and I say a lot, like just by living our lives, we've become activists in a way. Right. And we become advocates because we are educating and training people that, you know, we're not out here recruiting your children. We're not evil people. Like we honestly want the same thing that anybody else wants. We want to be happy. We want to be safe. We want to be loved. Like for me, I was searching my whole life for unconditional love. Again, I have to explain that to people, right? They're like, well, what do you mean unconditional love? I'm like, literally, I wanted to be accepted 1,000% for who I was. And I grew up feeling not that. I grew up feeling conditional love. And I'm like, I have no problem. I will give that speech 150 times, because I think that is what, and when I got it, because the other thing is I say to people, it took me pretty late in life to get to that point of feeling unconditionally loved. When you get it, you never want to give it back. Because once you feel it, you're like, this is it. Right. And I said, a lot of you started out with a leg up because, you know, you were unconditionally loved from the beginning. I always had, we talked about it earlier, that wall between me. I always had this feeling that I was disappointing my parents, or I was broken in some way, or I needed to be fixed, right? And until I got over that, you know, but then once you have it, I'm like, now I want to bottle it and give it to other people. Like, I mean, because once you have it, it's intoxicating. You know?
It's so powerful.
It's so powerful. All right, we're coming to the end of our time. I want to respect time. Is there anything, I always end on, is there anything I didn't ask you that I should have asked you? Because it's been an amazing discussion, but is there anything you're dying to talk about that I didn't ask you?
No, this has been a great discussion, because it led to the places we wanted to go.
Oh, totally. So. No, and of course it's going to involve a follow-up email, because my mind is literally spinning. I'm gonna pimp you out. There's things we have to do. No, but I think, listen, we can admit it. We're kind of getting to be the elders in our community, right? We're there. Like the white hairs we've earned, right? And the white hair in our beard we've earned. And I do think of what the elders in the community meant to me when I was in my 20s and 30s. And I'm like, okay, now it's our turn. And they need us. They don't know they need us, but they need us. They need us.
It's time for us to spend our privilege.
100%. And we could do a whole other episode on privilege, because we all are white men first. And until we choose to marginalize ourselves or put ourselves on national television in a reality show or a competition show, until we tell our story, people don't know. Right? That's the thing. Like if I get out of the car by myself, it's a different story than if I get out of the car with Joe. Story's completely different. Right. And I do think, especially for some people in our community who don't have that privilege, we have to learn how to use it well, especially right now. Well, thank you guys so much. This has been such a pleasure, as always. I can't wait to see the comments on this one. And I'm going to put some thought into a well-worded email of opportunities for the men, the Beekman. I'm going to work on branding ideas too, but thank you guys so much. Happy Pride.
Thanks, Jim.
Thank you. Happy Pride to everyone.
Bye. Thanks for spending this time with us on Ask for an Answer. If this conversation sparks something for you, don't just nod and move on. Take one idea, one question, one uncomfortable and bring it into your next meeting, your next one-on-one, or your next big decision. That's how this becomes a practice, not just a podcast. If you're leading a team, a classroom, a company, or just your own next chapter, you don't have to have it all figured out. You do have to be willing to listen, to ask better questions, and to create the kind of safety where people will actually tell you what they see. If this episode was useful, share it with someone who's in the arena with you. And if you want more tools, stories, and real talk leadership moments, make sure you follow the show and leave a review so others can find us. I'm Jim Fielding. Thank you for being here, for leading with less armor and more intention. Until next time, stay curious, stay kind, and keep asking for an answer.